Well, it just goes to show that when you've made enough people wealthy, those things all get forgotten.
Yeah.
Zagabond, right? Like Azuki, the guy's like, yeah, I rugged 3 projects, and everyone's like, it's okay, dude. Like
And pretended
20.
to be a woman. And everyone's like, bro, but like
I was
anime
playing
project.
characters.
Yeah, like he's a good guy. He had
NFT
good
founders.
intentions. It's just like, what are you doing? The guy's like a serial rugger. The one thing we despise in this space collectively. And you're just like, but like, I mean, I hold an Azuki, so like, can you just not be mad about this?
Yeah. Let me sell first, and then I'll be mad. No, God! Welcome back. It is episode number 5 of Exit Liquidity, here with the DGens from Alphamint. I am your host, R2DGen, and I am joined with me, as always, by the absolute menace, the world-famous roast account, Dirty Milk. What's going on, man?
What's up, fam? Just me and my party shirt. How we doing?
Yeah, you are rocking a very colorful shirt, and I'm inspired. I want to go party. I need a party shirt now too. I do not have one. Mine just has like a little axe pattern on it. Whatever. I've never touched an axe in my life, but we're going with it. Also, joined with me with the rocking his pretty dope maybe tomorrow hat. Drip coat. What's happening?
What's up? It's not a party hat, but it's a hat.
The change of attitude.
What kind of hat? Not with that attitude, it's not for sure. What kind of hat would you rock to a party then?
Obviously, a top hat.
Top hat, bowler cap, maybe.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you want a party, you wear a top hat.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a week since we've been live. It's August 25th, and we are back at it for another show. This week has been a little bit interesting. It's been a bit of a down week, kind of across the board. Even in terms of news, we were definitely scouring a little bit more for some topics. So we figured we'd talk a little bit more about what we've been doing, the things that we've been up to. I know Dirty Milk's been degenning like an absolute madman. I was going to say champion, but it doesn't sound like it's worked out too well for you. I partook in some stuff like that as well, and we'll just get right into it. Like Dirty Milk.
Oh,
go ahead.
I also want to add, it's not that we couldn't find topics. It's like the main topics have just been beaten to death. Like we know Pudgy Penguins, like they're on a comeback, like they're ripping, they're having a good time. Like we get it. Like do something else.
And we will talk about Pudgy Penguins a little bit, but it'll lead into a bigger discussion that we have of, we're going to be talking about what kind of 2021 projects we're looking at in terms of having a comeback, right? Some of those ones that have really fallen from grace that could be ripe for the pickings, right? Like there's I think a really good opportunity throughout 2022 and into 2023 with NFTs inevitably coming back in vogue to make some serious gains on that and be part of a project that has come quite down from their all-time highs. Dirty, I want to start with you though, man. You've been degenning, but you also, for the first time, were the victim of a hack or a wallet drain. Did you ever figure it out, and what was the damage?
I haven't figured out which project did it. I was just degen minting like a madman yesterday, just everything. It was a nice moment because it reminded me why I use burner accounts. So thankfully I didn't get hit hard. I didn't get like my wallet. I mean, I guess I got the only NFT that was in that wallet that was worth any amount of money got pulled out of it. I didn't have any ETH in there for them to steal. I mean, if they wanted the 0.002 ETH that was in there, like sure, have my $4. But it didn't feel nice, but it was just a good reminder on why we use burner wallets. I've since made new wallets, made sure to label those as compromised because I had minted a project that I think it was on multiple wallets. So definitely not touching those again. But yeah, nice little learning experience, but just made sure it wasn't on my main wallet and have my vault as well and all my ETH and my Trezor. So
and that's the beautiful thing about MetaMask and all of this is it's free to make it. You can have one seed phrase, and then you can literally make as many wallets under that as you want, right? There's literally no reason. This is what blows my mind all of the times. Every day you hear about a Bored Ape being stolen from a wallet drainer because somebody was degen minting. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing, right? You have a $200,000 asset sitting in a hot wallet, and you're minting these projects trying to hopefully flip for like 0.1 ETH would be a pretty big win in some of these degen free mints, right? Like what is the upside to this? It blows my mind. But I'm happy that one, like you were smart in how you did it, and that like the repercussions of that were very, very minimal. And because of that, like it's a good reminder, right? Like because the further you go from that stuff happening, or the longer you go without it ever happening, you start to kind of almost believe that you're immune to it, right? And like that to me is like a pretty good, very low cost reality check, you know? Like it's
definitely
it's rampant right now. Like the rug pull, like not only like the scams and like straight up wallet drains, but like the rug pulls too, like everything, because everyone knows everyone's just degen minting everything and anything that's free. So like it's freaking minefield out there right now. So 100% double clicking on that. Use burner wallets. Do not use your main wallet.
Yeah, again, there's absolutely no reason to. And like, don't load up those burner wallets with tons of ETH too, right? Like, you know, depending on what your liquidity play with is, like 0.1, if you're free minting, will be enough to get you a couple of mints. Like when you factor in the gas has been so cheap too, right? Like it's it's crazy to think that, you know, people are still falling victim of that with like, well, remember that one mint a couple weeks ago where it was like you had to have a Bored Ape or a Mutant Ape or something in your wallet to mint it, and people were like, oh, like perfect. I don't know, but MetaMask also put out that really good update of like showing you that you're signing for this specific thing or all, like, you know, these companies are getting better at identifying the shortcomings of people and really trying to help prevent it too. I know Premint was working with MetaMask a lot and kind of collaborating. Ledger's been doing that as well, just with like, you know, limiting the people's exposure to this. So that's also good to see. I myself got into a couple of mints this week. Didn't go like super well as it should have, but I got into Strangers, took a pretty good position in Strangers. That's Strangers with an X. And then I failed to, oh, sorry, I forgot that we were going to pull that up. I'm just going out of order
No
now.
worries. I forgot too. I was just so into the conversation.
Yeah. But like they had a good run. I was actually kind of surprised by this one project in particular because they actually did it in more of a traditional mint kind of process, right? There were a bunch of free ones, but a lot of them actually were minting for 0.02. They minted out incredibly quickly. They did a pre-reveal, which has not been the case really lately, right? Like normally these are instant reveal. There's like a really quick hype cycle where they trade up, and then they come crashing down. This actually sat pre-reveal for almost 2 days, and then when they revealed, they actually kind of took off even more. The reception to the art was actually surprisingly good. And I gotta say, as far as pixel art goes, like, yeah, they look pretty slick. They have like 100. They have like 161 of ones in there.
Like drunk smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
But yeah, they ran up to like 0.06. I unloaded a couple of them, but definitely not all of them. And now they're sitting, I think, just around 0.02. So that was interesting. And then I know Dirty Milk, you got into to Doomsday, the Doomsday Garden with the trees. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that was all about?
Yeah, they had a kind of a cool approach to it. I believe that was some Clampy alpha again, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Guy never stops, dude. But yeah, they had a cool approach. So where the mint price rose as you minted. So the higher numbers you were minting, the higher the price was. But it would lock, like, what was it, 0.00025 ETH from each sale into every NFT that was minted before it. So then you can go and either decide to list it and sell it on secondary, or you can go and harvest it and claim the ETH that was attached to it and
burn the NFT.
Burning the NFT. So I ended up selling one. I think I actually only minted one. The minting process was it was cool. Definitely helped for botters. It was a little frustrating because you were up against other people that were trying to mint the same number as you. So I caught a few fails, and then I just like smashed priority for you just to, because I got over it, and then it went through. But yeah, a cool approach to a mint, some nice Ponzi-nomics going on there. I sold mine for 0.15. Yeah. I think I minted for 0.02, and the amount locked in it when I sold was like 0.07. So I could have harvested. That's kind of the beauty of this project, is that it can't really go to zero. You know, you could always just harvest for whatever's in there.
Yeah.
Might not be what you paid for in mint, but at least avoids just absolutely plummeting to zero.
Well, and it's cool because as it was minted along that bonding curve and the price was going up, right? All that ETH is getting locked in the previous NFTs that have been minted, but as they get harvested, the price actually starts to come down on the mint price too, right?
Oh,
because
really?
it's moving, yeah, because it's moving along the bonding curve. So as it moves along the bonding curve, the price to mint starts to get lower. So as the floor price on, say, OpenSea starts to drop, it could actually start getting closer to the floor price and then actually become profitable to start minting these again. So it did have one hype cycle. I don't even want to call it a hype cycle. It did have one cycle where to mint it, it was about 0.075, 0.08, and the floor price was around 0.1. As Dirty Milk said, the earlier ones were definitely getting a premium based on how much ETH was locked in them as well. I actually went shopping on the secondary for a while and bought up a bunch of the lower number ones. I did technically take an L on that because the Ponzi kind of came crashing down and started getting oversold and the floor price dipped below mint price. But it was kind of cool because I bought a bunch of the earlier ones. There was so much ETH locked up in it that I actually had a pretty good hedge against my downside. So despite the fact that I paid 0.18 for one of these earlier ones, they actually have 0.08 ETH locked in them. So I'm not taking that full 100% loss. And then the upside is that maybe this thing picks up and catches steam again, and those will still command a premium. So it was actually pretty interesting to watch. But when Clampy called that out, they were minting for 0.015. So just another 10xer in the day of Clampy. So good on him. But as Dirty Milk mentioned, very interesting dynamics at play with it. I think they are up to about 3,500 minted of them, and they're it's really fallen off a cliff. So whether or not it actually gets off the ground remains to be seen. There is more of an ecosystem behind this too. Some of it was on Polygon. There was what do you call it? A doomsday. Not vaults, shelters or something, right? You mint these shelters and people would live in them and whatnot. So there's a little bit of an ecosystem. It'll be interesting to see if they kind of tie that all in together too, and it ends up going anywhere. But Drip, you've been DGen minting at all, or you've been pretty busy elsewhere?
I've been messing around. Nothing if I see something that pops up on DGen Mints or Mobi and it tickles my fancy, I'll throw, I'll mint a few, throw some ETH at it. But I think the last thing I caught was that I actually made money on was the what is it? Suki Learns to Fly. I saw again Clampy throwing it on Alpha Mint, and I was like, screw it. It was a 0.025 mint. So I was like, all right, maybe this one will actually gain a little traction because there's actually some money involved and some ETH thrown into it versus just another DGen free mint. And it did pretty well. It had two pumps. The first pump, it pumped up, I think, to 0.06, and then I think it was either right before pre-reveal or right after reveal. It pumped up to 0.07. I, of course, missed both of those, but I did manage to make it. I caught the tail end of the second pump and got both of mine out. So I made a little money on it, but nothing substantial. I only minted 2, though. I wasn't willing to mint more than 3 or even 5 or 10. If I had 10, I probably would have made it, a decent amount on the trade, but I just wasn't willing to risk it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I mean, at this point, it's almost like we're just doing it just to feel alive, just to feel something. You know what I mean? But it does seem to be there's a sentiment coming back that even though volume is down across the board, it is being more concentrated in some quality projects that seem to be coming back too. We're going to get into that in just 1 second. I was just going to quickly point out that ETH, if we want to talk about the macro situation, did take quite a bit of a pullback over the last week since we've been on the show. Last week when we were there, it was sitting at about, just about 1,900. It had hit 2,000 very briefly and then drew back all the way back down to just above 1,500. We've been steadily rallying back, and it's kind of just par for the course with crypto right now, where it seems to be a pretty good, pretty healthy 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and we seem to kind of just be staircasing our way back up slowly but surely. Whether or not that remains to be the case, I have no idea. But we could switch into the OpenSea volume too, and that is something that has definitely started falling off of the cliff. We are definitely on track to have the lowest volume month again for well, I guess like the 5th month in a row, but we are starting to approach July of 2021 levels, which was, at the time, all-time highs, right? So we could be experiencing a little bit of a bottoming out here, but that's really hard to say, right? Like we're seeing these free mints, these degen mints becoming fewer and farther between, like being successful. I think people are starting to see that their margins are getting a lot thinner. People are less willing to participate in it, take big positions in it, and they're really not getting to any crazy heights like they were before. Dirty, would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just based off my experiences, I don't think I really hit anything this past week besides the doomsdays, and I only minted one. So as far as weeks go, wasn't my best, but definitely better than zero.
Yeah, for sure. Not.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was gonna say I kind of cooled down last week, and then this week has been pretty slow. But like, I mean, think of it this way: have either of you felt like you needed to be on your computer this week at all? Like, did either of you feel like you were going to be missing out if you, went and actually touched grass this week?
I just have that kind of ingrained in my freaking veins now to like, I feel like I am missing out if I'm not looking at my computer, but it does feel better knowing that there's not a ton of volume, and that like, I think I did miss those Digidaigakus, so I have since then tried to be a little bit more plugged in, but I do see what you're saying 100%.
Well, that's
I just mean,
I was just
Go
gonna say
ahead, go
that's
ahead.
hard too, because like the one day that you decided to take off, you missed like basically the cook of the year, and
Yeah,
we might as well just point out the fact that those are sitting at almost a 5 ETH floor now.
It's
They ran
insane.
up to 2 ETH. They pulled back to 1.5, 1.4 after the reveal, and I even was thinking to myself like, I hate buying really expensive NFTs in this market, in this meta, especially with the way that these projects fall off a cliff after they get that hype cycle. But again, as we pointed out, this is a developer has a track record of success in the Web2 mobile gaming arena, and that there might have been something there. And I was humming and hawing like, oh, I should just re-enter at one ETH, 1.5 ETH, even though it feels really dirty to do that. And this is in hindsight. But yeah, I mean, it has taken off again. It's a 2,000 piece collection backed by some actually pretty important names, and it's showing that there are good like quality projects that have a team behind them that are building something that are still able to succeed in this market. And from a free mint to now, what, almost $7,000, $8,000, about $8,000, like it's absolutely nuts.
So wild.
crazy.
It's crazy that's probably like the rock star of like the last few weeks. It's just insane. But like, I'm trying to think of anything else. I guess what was it, Goblin Town, that kind of did something similar at the beginning of the bear.
Yep.
But I
Yep.
mean, is there anything like the other thing I was thinking is like, question for you guys: is there anything coming up that anyone is excited for, or that is extremely hyped? Like, when's the next other side coming? You know what I mean? Is there anything like that on the horizon?
Not on that capacity. There's this project Commoners that I'm like a bit interested in, but
I've heard of
I haven't
commoners, yeah, but
I don't have like a super heavy bull case for them. I just know that they're a bit hyped. Clampy seemed interested, so that's a good metric to use these days. But yeah, I won whitelist for this through EtherOrcs. I think they had like 100 spots they gave to Orcs, and I won one of them, so that felt cool. They mint on the 28th, so I'll be watching those for sure.
yeah, a couple
Yeah,
days coming up with that.
I've seen that around, but yeah, I've been thinking recently, like, what is anything coming? And I don't think anything's going to. I mean, it's a terrible time to try to launch something. So
Yes.
like your audience and your reception is going to be terrible, even if it is going to be something that could be huge or game changing. It's just not the time.
I've seen a couple project founders that had been building for quite some time before this depression kind of came. And when it came time to mint their NFTs, and I don't want to say any names because I don't want to call people out for it or make them feel bad, because I totally get what they were doing. But they really kind of just stuck to their guns of like, I'm going to stick with my mint price. I'm going to stick with the process. And there was just no appetite for it, despite like, those projects actually having some success in the past or like having a good community. And it's just, it's really, really difficult out there. That's one of the reasons why I remain like slightly bit bullish on something like Strangers, just because they, even though 0.02 is pretty cheap in terms of a mint price, they do have a little bit of a war chest there now, and like they seem to follow that like earlier meta of, you know, early 2022, late 2021 that we all knew and loved so much, and it seemed to have like a little bit of success there, and there's still some volume there. Again, like I'm not trying to shill it or whatever. I don't think that like it's going to be the next Bored Apes, and I'm not going to be yelling it from the rooftop, but it was kind of refreshing just to see a project be able to go through those motions successfully. And I think that there's maybe an underlying bullishness in the market that like will slowly start to wake up, right? Like I think it's going to require some time, but ETH trading within like a sideways range for a while can do wonders for NFTs too.
I think you're absolutely right. I think the bullish sentiment is there, and it is waking up, but not for new projects.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a great segue into the next thing that we wanted to talk about was just, of course, we saw Pudgy Penguins go on a run. We mentioned that everyone's been talking about them ad nauseum. It's been the story of the month, no doubt, you know, flipping cool cats and really just getting up to, what are we at, 3.2 ETH floor right now, all the way up from, I think it was almost 0.5 that it ran down to at the peak of the FUD cycle that it had. You know, Pudgy Penguins were dead. The community was kind of tearing itself apart at the seams. The founders had rugged. They were trying to sell it after, you know, having great offers on the table that were rescinded. And then they went back to them and be like, by the way, do you still want this? And everyone was like, fuck, no. But yeah, 400 ETH for the rarest Pudgy Penguin. This is just like the pure naked Pudgy. 400 ETH, 400 ETH. This project was dead.
400 ETH for this guy.
Yeah.
That's wild, dude.
That's the one that sold?
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, wow.
And this is one of those like good examples of something being so plain that it's actually rare, right? Like it's so hard to find something with that few traits on it. But yeah, Pudgy Penguins moving along, 3.2 ETH floor and a 400 ETH sale, and people are all of a sudden feeling pretty bullish on Pudgy Penguins. We also saw some good news. So Pudgy's, you know, replaced the management. They got rid of the old rug founders, Cole, and kind of gutted everything. Brought on some new, very relevant, very intelligent people that have a lot of success in Web 2. Oniforce, a project that, God, I mean, when that thing minted and it was like pre-reveal, what were they, almost 10 ETH floor? Like this was one of the original just like mega hype projects. And people just assumed at the time, especially because the NFT market was very different then. This wasn't like your Hape Primes and all of the, you know, the garbage that claimed to be the next blue chip. Like this was actually regarded as like one of the successors to like CryptoPunks, then Bored Apes, and then like Oniforce was right there.
Dude, this one's sick.
Yeah, man, they look good.
They look good, yeah.
They were like the first project I ever thought was like cool, not something that like I just wanted to trade and sell for profit. I was like, I want to buy one of these just strictly based off of how cool I think they are.
I'll go to some of those other ones, the high ends. Yeah, dude, I remember when this was beyond hyped when this was coming out. I remember. And also, like, I remember when you were in the Discord, the grind. Oh my God, trying to get whitelist. You had to spend time. I know some people in AlphaMint spent weeks grinding, and they finally got their allow list. And some also spent weeks and got nothing. Like it was wild the amount of effort people put in to get into this project. But it paid off. I mean, dude, I think like the first day the floor shot up to like, I think 3 or 4 ETH and then didn't stop. And then I think it finally topped out at like, what was it, 7 or 8 ETH for just floor. Like it was wild. And then like all these like rare Onis were selling for like 8,500 ETH.
Yeah, on the that volume spike there a couple days after it minted. So August 24th, the average price of the Onis were selling for 8.8 ETH, which is just wild because back then price of ETH was probably around 4K as well, right? Yeah. Like that was it was expensive. So those things crushed it, and then it just fell right off a cliff. I mean, it maintained above 1 ETH for quite some time, But I mean, the management just kind of disappeared. They weren't doing anything with it. There was the community just slowly shriveled up, died out. A lot of people that were probably around were probably those people that bought in at like 5, 6, 7 ETH and were just praying to get some of that back. But it was slowly declined. They started getting to only in like 2, 3 sales a day. They were down below 0.25 floor, and now announced that they have a new guy in control. This is Henry Finn, and that the original team is no longer a part of the decision making process for Oni Force. Seeing how Pudgy Penguins, kind of turned around in the wake of just real good, talented management. Seeing what Guy Osiri, someone like Guy Osiri has done for like the Bored Apes and Yuga, knowing that like having really solid marketing background, really solid strategy, deep connections, does for an NFT project. Oni Force could be one that's ripe for the picking to be, a comeback story. It has that moment. It was captivating everybody's attention at the time. It was all anybody was talking about. Everybody is aware, if you've been in the NFT space for any amount of time, about Oni Force. And I'm just wondering now, it has gone on a little bit of a run. It is now up to what, a 0.45, almost 0.5 floor. So making a little bit of a comeback. But could we see this as another resurgence project a la Pudgy Penguins? Where are you guys thinking with this? And are Azuki holders pissed?
Yeah, dude, I can't wait for Azuki holders to come out and be like, this Oni project copied Azuki. Like they do every time something slightly anime comes out. It's ridiculous. I hope so. I don't really have any. If they drop below like 0.3, I might get interested, because I just don't know where these new owners have, like, what their plans are. But I would be happy. I think it would just do overall, like, it would just be great for the space in general. Just these projects can come back, I think would be a great sign that, like, just for some of the older projects, like the 2021 projects, I think that alone, I would hope that they get a little bit life back into them. And I'd love to see people rocking them around. It's just cool art, in my opinion, which, I know everybody's got their own feelings about the art side of things, but they just look cool. I would not mind rocking one of those.
Yeah, they've always some of the best art, in my opinion, like in that style. But I agree. I think the biggest thing that for me is that there's so many bag holders. So many people spent so much money on this that I think there would be I'm blanking on the word right now, but basically
like a sell-off.
No, like everyone gets together and makes it happen. What is the word I'm looking for here?
Yeah. Like just like a group communal effort of like, we're gonna bring Oni Force back, make Oni great again, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. I feel like enough people, enough influencers have their bags completely full of Oni, and they would love to either have it be worth some ETH again, or at least dump on anyone they could. So,
I mean, I do believe that projects in 2021 are going to be part of a very special cohort. It's not the first year that NFTs were a thing. It's not like this like significant time, other than the fact that it was, NFTs foray into mainstream, at least mainstream awareness, maybe not mainstream adoption. It's not like everybody has one or own one. But after 2021, everybody was aware of what NFTs are, even if they just think that like it was trading. Oh, people are trading pictures on the internet for obscene amounts of money. It's that mental seed of like, now all of these people just know what an NFT is and they are aware of it, right? And that's kind of step one for the main adoption phase. But 2021 will look back as that time that really got it to the forefront. Of course, Yuga coming into the game and really just changing everything up. Just all these obscene prices, obscene amount of trading, those huge first big volume spikes. And it really got me to thinking, what are the other projects from 2021 that we should really be taking seriously? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I say not even that, but also remember back in, I think it literally was this time, August of 2021, like there was a huge demand for historical projects. I remember Gary Vee was probably one of the biggest ones pushing that one, and people, because everyone, all you to be successful back in 2021 August, you just had to track wallets. So everyone was just tracking Gary Vee's wallet and saw him kept buying all these old random projects, usually like what were they, like 2019 and before, a lot of 2017 projects. I remember I bought into one of them, and I think I took a loss on it. Actually, it was like some weird bear project where you had to like piece together your bear, but there were other ones where like I saw it early, so I got in and got out early. But like we've seen it before. Like there's always going to be a demand for historical things. So like if projects can come back, they will, and especially if they're cool looking, or if they have good leadership or good ideas.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think you're right about that. And again, like we've said this a whole bunch throughout the last 3 months while things have been slow, is like go around to all of these historical projects and, poke into the Discord, see what's going on in there. Is there still a community that exists? Are people still excited about it? Are the founders or the people responsible for the project still building, still talking, even just engaging, right? And that could be a really good sign that they're in it for the long haul. They're treating the brand with respect. And when the time comes that the volume comes back into NFTs, of course there will be tons of new projects that get a lot of attention. But Gary Vee is inevitably going to, be on his 4th bottle of Merlot at 2 a.m. and be like, I like this project, and start, buying it. And the attention can definitely go back on it. And I'm not saying that it's only going to be based on what Gary Vee does, but I mean, he is one of the ones that just like love to go find something that's historic, and because he loves doing content so much, getting a hold of the founders, interviewing them, pushing them out to the forefront. And it's a powerful narrative, right? It shows a track record of these people have been here and been doing this. So, Dirty Milk, if I had to say, like, what is a project that you would start to take seriously? If I had to just say, gun to your head, you need to invest, let's just say 1 ETH, like, not a crazy amount. It might be a lot for some people, and I totally get that. But like, let's just say 1 ETH, you're gonna go and buy a couple of NFTs of a project from 2021 that you think is going to have a great comeback. What are you looking at?
I'm probably going to head back to where it started for me, which would be Robotos.
Nice choice.
Those are my first secondary pickup. I have traded those multiple times, like in and out for like profit, and it's been great. I am surprised to see that they are still sitting at the floor that I bought in at, which is nuts, because I bought it like
just round tripped it, eh?
Yeah, but it's crazy to me that they've held that well. I don't know, is Pablo, I don't know if Pablo Stanley, the artist, is still spearheading them or not.
Not sure.
But he's just super like creative. Everything he kind of pushes out is just super fun and cool. I don't have a super gnarly like bull case for them. I know that they had something released recently for some type of game or something like that, but I would love to see them come back. I'd probably would feel okay buying 4 or 5 of these for around an ETH. And they just like, they're sick. They're animated. Like, come on. The Cyclops ones are really cool.
I remember watching the live streams when Pablo would do them. He would literally just live stream him drawing all the artwork before the project launch.
They're super cool. I think that they ran up to like a 2 ETH floor at one point.
Yeah,
I have owned these so many times and have
so
made
much
profit every time.
Yeah, they did. In January, they actually, there was a huge volume pump in January where a lot of projects really kind of went on a crazy run. I think that's when Alien Friends went on a pretty good run, and a bunch of other projects. But yeah, I agree. I mean, Robotos has that connection to time. Time is proved time and time again that they are very, very Web3 focused and very, very Web3 friendly. Keith Grossman is a big supporter of NFTs and a bit of an NFT degen himself. And I'm not saying that time is necessarily going to move the needle for Robotos, but definitely not bad friends to have. And again, when I say like look for those connections, like having connections at Time, having partnerships with Time and a bunch of other brands is pretty strong and pretty powerful. So I actually really like that pick. And while you were talking, I just checked in on Pablo's Twitter, and yes, he is definitely still working for, or like heading Robotos, and he is still very active. Right, another great sign. So, man, I might actually jump on board with you on that and maybe pick up a couple of them.
Yeah, get in there.
Do it.
Drip, what do you think? Same question.
My pick, definitely Alien Friends. Definitely Alien Friends. Dude, they're still super active. They just actually came out with their first digital comic book, which looks pretty cool. They ran up to, what do you think? You just said it was like 4 ETH or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, it
but
was nuts.
They've always had a pretty active community, still sitting at 0.339 apparently. They've always just been fun to me. I remember back when they minted in Alpha Mint, the sentiment was like, these are shit. These look like crap. Like, who's going to buy these? And then we all just laughed as they just ran and ran and ran. And everybody was like, crap, I was wrong.
Yep.
And so that was always funny to me, but they've always had good community. They're still active. You can check their Twitter right now. Like, they're still getting a lot of engagement on their posts, and I think they have a chance to potentially come back. Will they become like a solidified blue chip where you're going to be like wanting to hold one of these, like like a Doodles or anything like that? Like, probably, well, maybe not. No, I don't think so. But I still think, like, if you want to get in now, you'll probably make some money later on. Maybe track it. Maybe don't buy in right this second, because we might get a little more bearish here, but definitely keep an eye on it. I definitely am. So
Yeah, it was an interesting time too, because they minted right at the end of 2021. As you said, they ran up to almost 4 ETH floor, didn't quite hit that 4 ETH, and then yeah, they pulled back a little bit, and then slowly but surely over the course of time have pulled back all the way to 0.35, which they're at right now. They minted with Cool Man's Universe and Little Lemon's friends, all like, I think it was within 3 out of 4 days, right? Like, those three minted, and all had a pretty good run. Cool Man's had a great run. Lemon Friends had a very brief but really strong showing, and I think they really just like hold like a special point in time. And you're right, it was for a while there. You couldn't see any like meetup or something that wasn't like Alien Friends related, and like people rocking the gear and just really getting behind it. We mentioned Gary V earlier. Gary V was another one that got into Alien Friends and was, touting it a little bit, which really kind of took it to the next level. Not my only gripe about it was just that, like, I always thought that they pulled the Alien Friends, the Evolution, which was their secondary like derivative companion project. Like, not only was it too early, right? Like, I don't think they let it. We always see like the success of these derivative projects are based on the fact that the base NFTs are just too expensive to get into. I thought Azuki's timing was brilliant with the beans, because Azuki's were sitting at about 18, 20 ETH at the time. And that is not an entry price that, I would say 99% of NFT degens can be comfortable getting into. Like, even some of those will be like very overextended, dropping 20 ETH on a single NFT. The beans were that next step into it. Now I could be part of the Azuki ecosystem, but I don't have to drop that, right? Bored Apes did that brilliantly with Mutants. There's been a couple of other ones, and then there's been a couple of other projects that have kind of really been to their detriment. I always thought Alien Friends Evolution was one of them, and the fact that they looked a little bit too similar to the other ones. But I do
very similar.
Yeah, but I do agree. Like, they hold a special point in time. They had an incredibly strong community, and I think as time goes on, that negative perception of the derivative companion project, not a derivative, I shouldn't call it a derivative, but the companion project will kind of wash away. So I actually really like that pick, and that actually goes in line with my pick, which is Cool Man's Universe, which I just mentioned minted like a day or two before or after Alien Friends. I don't remember the specific order that it was in, but I kind of gave Alien Friends shit for doing a companion project. Cool Man's also did this. The Babies was not an overly successful drop in this. Cool Man's Universe ran up to almost a 3 ETH floor sometime early this year, and has since fallen all the way down to 0.13. And like, full disclosure, I'm just going to say this, I have already done that exercise and bought a whole bunch of these last week. It has still fallen even below that price, which I'm comfortable with. Whenever I'm looking at this stuff, and I think that you'll all agree, is if you're making a play like this, you're not looking for that quick flip NFT. This is like tying liquidity up for a longer term and waiting for NFTs to have their next hype cycle, and then you hope that the team or the community is still very active in that. But
Didn't the babies just launch like 2 weeks ago or something?
No, it was a little bit longer than that, but they got off to a slow start and they haven't
Oh.
been like it hasn't been absolutely crushing it or anything. I believe the
Hmm.
floor price was like maybe 0.02 and the volume very low. But wasn't really moving the needle. I do want to just like sort of give them a bit of a pass because Cool Man Coffee Dan has like all of these things lined up as to like what the next steps were, and it wasn't one of those drops where it's just like the community was like when companion. It was like this is the next iteration in the storytelling, and that's one of the things that I really like about it is that he has kind of this full narrative built out. You know, they're going to be doing a TV show. There was always that rumor that Disney was going to be involved. That was one of the things that brought it up to almost a 3 floor at the time. And, you know, I just can't discount somebody that, again, clearly has some connections, but he also has like 8 million followers on Instagram, right? This guy has a long track record of being a cartoonist and artist that built up a gigantic following beforehand. And I do just think eventually that's going to come online, right? As we start to get towards mass adoption. And that's why I was very bullish on Cool Mans. I always have been. I've always had a very hard time pulling the trigger on selling them, which I never really did, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, I mean,
I sold mine at the top. I got lucky.
yeah,
I didn't try to. It was too juicy not to. I didn't care that much about the project. I think we got whitelist for free. So like it was like I'm gonna make some money.
I didn't sell the top, but I sold on the run up.
Yeah.
I did manage to peel like because I minted 2 and I bought 2 on the secondary pre-reveal, and I did manage to peel the 2 that I bought off. One of them ended up being, and I bought a pre-reveal, ended up being a rare-ish one that I sold like well above floor. And I was able to de-risk, right? Like I'd already not only covered my cost basis, but also taken quite a good profit at the end of the day. So now I hold, you know, I held 2 of them until I recently just bought a whole bunch. But 2 is such a hard number when you're trading and stuff too, right? Because
Terrible.
Always 3.
yeah, always 3, right? Because if you own 2, you can only really sell 1 because you're always going to keep that extra one for that, like, in your back of your mind, moonshot, like, what if this is another, you know, 20 Doodles or you know, Cool Cats that runs up to 15 ETH or, you know, we've seen it time and time again. Certain projects just go on these crazy, crazy tears. And it's very hard to, you know, you get worried that you're going to miss out on some of those massive gains, right? Like honestly, huge shout out to those Bored Ape holders who have held like all the way from mint until now, right? Even they were up to 125 ETH and they're like, no, I'm diamond handing this thing. Like,
I still think that's so
incredible.
irresponsible.
Yeah.
It's not gonna lie. I don't care what it was worth, but I just think that's just terrible habit to get into.
For sure. Like, you know,
Absolutely.
if you don't own a house and
Yeah.
you're sitting on a at the time $500,000 JPEG, I mean, like, just take
real.
the house. Not even about the investment aspect anymore. If you know, if your net worth is $520,000 and 500 of it is a monkey picture, like, it's cool, man. Just sell.
Yeah.
But like,
Nobody's gonna
Right
judge you. Like, I promise. I mean, with the only thing that made it, I'm not to go on a different like tangent here, but the only thing that I think made it like slightly okay was when ApeCoin came out. And if you at least had like an ape and you're getting like 10K ApeCoin,
Sure.
like, that was a gnarly airdrop. But like, other than that, if you held from mint to like 100 ETH floor, I don't.
well, even the Kettle Club was a nice little liquidity infusion if you
That's
wanted to
true.
peel that off. Mutants certainly didn't do too bad, even at the beginning. And then, of course, ApeCoin. So there is a real case of, like, why would I sell this? They continually find ways to deliver value to me, and I can, you know, basically have, like, a recurring... Like, if you owned 1 Bored Ape last year and you sold the tops of each of the derivatives, I mean, you're probably looking at like the equivalent of like a 6-figure salary just from owning 1 Bored Ape, right? Like, obviously that requires some timing, but I get it now for sure. They look like geniuses too, right? So not a bad segue into the next thing that we have to talk about as well, and that was just how robust the Bored Ape ecosystem really is getting, like in terms of the IP that is coming out. We always say this is all about attention. What brands can keep attention? What brands can stay in the public eye? This Bored Ape Yacht Club has just an absolutely jam-packed list of celebrities that hold them. Some of them still using them as their PFP. That goes a long way, right? Like you're talking Justin Bieber, Madonna, Post Malone. I can't believe I'm falling that short on the list, but there's probably like 40 or 50 like notable celebrities. Snoop
Timberland,
Dogg, there we
Eminem.
go. Yeah, Eminem. Yeah, right. Okay, thank
Jimmy
you.
Fallon, like
Yeah, yeah. So like that is strong enough as it is, but now they're actually getting some pretty strong brand recognition in terms of the holders using the IP for their own projects, their own identities. We saw the Bored Ape founders on the Nelk Boys podcast. What is that? The Full Send podcast, right?
Full Send, yeah.
Yeah, they're big Bored Ape holders too. They have a beer line now using the Bored Apes. What is that called? Happy Dad? And they put the Bored Apes on the cans for that.
Yeah, the Happy Dad's done by Nelk Boys.
Yep.
And then they use the ape to sponsor it or whatever.
And now they just announced that they're releasing a beef jerky under that as well, right? But there's coffee, there's water brands. We saw the Bored and Hungry, the burger joint that opened up in California.
I love that.
Did you go?
I haven't gone to it, but the guys that did that have made some of the best like retail food spots in Orange County and LA like ever. They have they redefined like the food scene out here, and it's really their approach to things is clear. They have an ice cream place called After's Ice Cream. It's the same guys that did that. They get Rick and Morty like collaborations and stuff for their ice cream. They get SpongeBob collaboration. So it was not, when I found out that those guys were behind Bored and Hungry, I was like, that place is going to take off because they are undefeated for retail food right now. It's nuts. They like control Orange County, and I don't know too much about how well they do in LA, but I'm sure they do incredibly well.
Yeah, dude. After's is sick, and it's ice cream, and you're like, okay, how cool can an ice cream spot be? Pretty freaking cool.
Yeah,
they crushed it.
They have one at the Irvine Spectrum where the store is literally, it looks like a Saint Laurent. Like it's like done with just like marble floors and walls, and they do all their merch is just like bootleg streetwear merch. They understand branding, culture, and everything in between. Shout out to those guys.
Yeah. Right, and all of this is contributing to the Bored Ape floor price, if you will, or the value of it, because again, the more recognition, the more popular these things are, even just outside of the NFT world, and they really are transcending Web3 into becoming what would be considered a luxury brand, right? Like the first digital luxury brand in existence. It's so hard to bet against this juggernaut at this point, because it's not even just the founders that are putting in all of the work anymore. It's the Bored and Hungry, it's the beef jerky that's coming out, it's the celebrities that are rocking them in the profile picture. Eminem and Snoop Dogg just did like a music video with them. I saw an Instagram video of Snoop Dogg punching, like doing a boxing workout wearing a Bored Ape sweater, right? Like all of this stuff is just recognizability to anybody watching that. That video probably will get viewed 5, 6, 7 million times of just Snoop Dogg swinging at a punching bag, but the Bored Ape is right there. And I'm sure a lot of people aren't like, oh, Bored Ape or NFTs, but when it comes to like recognizing what that is, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I saw that on a Snoop Dogg sweater, right? And there's that fallacy that when somebody says, oh, I can just right-click save it, and I know we don't believe that, like we understand why that's stupid, but people say, oh, I can right-click save an NFT, right? Every time a picture of the Mona Lisa gets taken, its value increases, right? Because it gets shared, it gets hung up on somebody's wall, it gets posted in Facebook, and more people are seeing the Mona Lisa everywhere, and it's the most recognizable piece of art in the world. That's happening with Bored Apes right now, and you really can't discount it. And then this week, Bored Ape M&Ms, like, this was a pretty interesting story. So Mars and the Universal Music Group collaborated to print M&Ms, and this is because of the band that is like Bored Ape branded. Again, another thing of cultural relevance, that is signed to Universal Music Group, printed a bunch of Bored Apes on M&Ms and sold them for $100 a package, and they sold out immediately. Dirty Milk, I'm seeing your face here. Give me a reaction.
I mean, I didn't realize they sold for $100 a pack.
Yeah, man. Like this isn't like a $5 pack of M&Ms. Like you're spending $5 every time you pop one of these in your mouth.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I'm not surprised. GG. But damn, $100 a pack.
That's wild.
That is wild. I mean, it's cool. It's a cool. I didn't realize that Eminem announced this.
Yeah, this was like a real.
I thought this was like somebody printed Bored Apes on M&Ms, and like I didn't realize that this was an announcement from Eminem, and that it's an extremely gnarly collaboration, if I'm honest.
I want to buy a pack of these. I'm sure they're going to be selling on secondary of something for like $1,000 a pack now. So I'm not going to buy one, but I would love to just be like just doing this show and just like casually eating them, and everyone's like, "What are you doing in Bored Apes?"
Yeah, you're gonna piss off the hype beast.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Like those guys that brought the Supreme brick.
I just burned one of the supply, you know, like.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Are you buying $100 M&M Bored Apes, Drip?
I'm eating $100 Bored Apes.
I think I probably would if I had the opportunity just to like laugh about it, but it's not a smart idea. I don't know.
No, we're gonna look back on this and like they're gonna be selling for like $5,000 a package.
Oh, you could probably let me see. Let me check eBay. Like let me see.
What if they melt in shipping? Like I guess like the plan isn't to open them if you buy them, but like.
So then that begs the question: how do you know there's actually Bored Apes on the M&Ms? It's like Schrodinger's M&M. That's
a good question. You don't know. Someone's gonna have to.
You don't know.
Figure that out.
Is that on eBay?
For $250, a limited edition box. Or I don't really quite understand it, but yeah.
I kind of want to buy one. All right. Yeah. I mean, it's again like you're talking about just relevance and attention. Like they're just masters at it at this point, and I do think it's just like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Honestly, right? Like this wasn't facilitated by Yuga, which is the incredible part because it's just putting immense amounts of value into the brand. But
it's crazy.
That is nuts.
Absolutely crazy.
Bored Ape also big sale. What was that? 800 or 80,000 ape coin sale to nobody.eth, who's a massive Bored Ape collector. But what did the math end up being on that? It was like $250,000.
250 ETH. So what is that?
250 ETH. Yeah. Almost 400. I think.
Yeah, almost 425,000.
Yeah.
Quick maths.
Yeah. So again, like, despite the fact that volume is down on NFTs, you know, and we didn't even talk about the X copy. What was that? 500 ETH purchase? Like
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, nuts. Like X copy still continues to be the king of. Oh, you don't have to pull it up. It was just mentioning it in passing.
Find it. But yeah, dude, that's crazy. Still some big numbers being thrown around during the bear.
Yeah, and again, like these are really wealthy, I would imagine smart investors, because some of those names you recognize, like nobody.eth, loading up on stuff. You know, people aren't shying away from making purchases, right? Like there is still money being flown around, but it's just a lot more selective. It's not as frothy as it was before. You know, I'm gonna try and keep that in the back of my mind the next bull market, where it's just like recognizing when it's getting just like absolutely out of hand, you know. And I think the other side, other deeds was a good realization of that, like a good culmination where it was just, you know, the amount of gas that people were willing to spend on it, how much was just burned in the process of it. Like it will kind of go down as the what triggered the bear market. I think that everybody's pretty much come to that consensus.
Yeah, everybody was broke after that, dude. Nobody had any more ETH. They just burned it for nothing, for land plots that just I'm still so like.
I don't think they took enough flack for that either.
Either do I. I was actually just gonna get into that, where like everybody kind of just brushed it to the side, but I just like that's absurd. Like you don't hear about that in like sneakers, like hype sneaker sales. You know, like
Nike sets $100 million on fire. Like everyone would be like,
just like what? Like why are we so? I feel like everybody should still be so mad about that, especially if you do this full time.
Well, it just goes to show that when you've made enough people wealthy, those things all get forgotten.
Yeah.
Zagabond, right? Like Azuki, the guy's like, yeah, I rugged 3 projects, and everyone's like, it's okay, dude. Like,
And pretended to be a woman, and everyone's like, bro, but like anime.
I was playing
project,
characters.
Yeah, you know, like he's a good
Cosplay
guy. He
NFT
had good
founders.
intentions. It's just like, what are you doing? The guy's like a serial rugger. The one thing we despise in this space collectively. And you're just like, but like, I mean, I hold an Azuki, so like, can you just not be mad about this?
Yeah. Let me sell first, and then I'll be mad.
Yeah, so funny.
All right, last topic we got. Nice switch over there. Top Solana NFT project DeGods overtakes Doodles and Azuki in pure dollar value floor price. This, I think seems to now be the creme de la creme on the Solana ecosystem. This is way higher than I should have checked before. What did OK Bears end up getting up to? Do we remember? Like, not even close to this, right?
I think it was 250.
Was it that high?
I think so.
Yeah, so
Like
DeGods, we don't talk about Solana NFTs a lot, and I certainly have never owned one. I've never had a Phantom wallet. I've never owned a single Sol coin. But doing the morning show where we had a live audience and people always chatting, is like, that was one thing that was constantly bombarded in our face, was like, get ready for Sol summer. Like, you guys don't pay attention to Sol enough and all of that. I'm like, summer's over, and like, this is the only thing that I've seen come out of Sol that's been of relevance. I don't know, like, they look good. Does this inspire you to start shopping Sol NFTs? Like, do we believe that it's going to get there?
I didn't know they turned Sol back on, if I'm honest. But what's it called? I don't, strictly looking at the art here, it's hard because I don't follow this project at all, and I don't think if you were to like look at the art at most ETH projects, are they worth that value based off the art? I'd say hell no, like alone. But I'm curious on
Drip, scroll up one line again.
What makes these worth 15 grand?
I like, individually, I look at them and I'm like, oh, okay, like, that doesn't look. They look all right, but then like I'm looking at them side by side. Are you buying that?
No, this guy has like crinkle cut French fry hair. Like, you go to Del Taco, those are like
those are Del Taco fries. Kind of slept on fries, to be honest.
Fries are slept on?
No, Del Taco's fries are slept on.
Oh, I've never had them.
Yeah, just throwing out the real alpha.
Here's French fries again.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't follow Sol much at all.
Dirty, here's a good challenge for you. Go buy 100 Sol and turn it into, like, let's see what you could turn that into in.
I think I have 100
3
Sol.
months.
Let me look at that real quick.
I'd be curious because I don't understand how these drops work. From what I understand, I understand ETH is like this kind of right now as well, where you kind of need a bot to be competitive. But I've heard with Sol, you absolutely need one. Like, you cannot mint something without a bot unless you are whitelist, which again can be said for a lot of ETH projects. But if you know what you're doing on ETH, there are ways around that. I don't think that there's a ton of ways around it for Sol. So I'm curious on getting my feet wet. I definitely am not going to buy 100 ETH, but if somebody gave me 100 ETH.
Yeah, he says that after he just heard Drip say, I think I have 100 ETH. And you're like,
I'd be happy. I'd be happy to turn that into 25 ETH in 3 months for sure. Or 25 Sol. But yeah, I don't know. Especially because it's like, it's OK Bears and DeGods are like the two projects.
I mean, the fact that these flipped Azuki and Doodles, that it makes me, I'm not gonna lie, obviously it's like that classic, like, a project at 0.04 versus a project at 4 ETH. Like, you're gonna like it a lot more because of the value. I mean, like, it definitely makes me interested in Sol NFTs, but I don't know enough / I don't care enough. But for these prices, I'm willing to roll the dice from time to time.
What is the value of that in ETH?
This is like I think this is like $14,500.
Okay.
410 SOL.
Maybe SOL's Australian and just summer's just a couple months away.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we got the wrong hemisphere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. So 35 ETH. So yeah, 7,000.
Yeah, that's
14,000,
$14,600. Yeah, dude, that's nothing to laugh at. Like these are looking a lot better.
I don't own any $15,000 NFTs right now, so
yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I'm definitely willing to play around in this market a little more now that I'm seeing this. And I assume more people are also thinking the same thing. However, I don't think most SOL drops are doing anywhere near this.
No, not at all.
But with that said, the makers of DeGods do have another project coming.
Yeah, and that was the next thing I was going to say. Why don't you give us a rundown on Utes?
Yeah, it's called Utes. My rundown is all I know is that it's from the makers of DeGod and it's a SOL project. That's literally all I know. And that I will say they are doing their whitelist collection a little differently, which I think is kind of cool. They're calling it the Utes Scholarship. And you go on, you connect your Phantom wallet or whatever you're using, and you apply. Basically, you have to tell them why you're worthy of being on the whitelist, which I'm not a huge fan of, but at the same time, like, I get why they're doing it and how it builds the hype and the list a little more, because people that they are approving and they're definitely bragging about are pretty notable people. So it makes you want to get in on the project. But this is from the same teams or the same creators. So, I mean, we could potentially be looking at another DeGods situation. I mean, hey, if I can get on the list and it can become a third of what DeGods is in price, I will be very happy.
I just hate the like, tell me why, like lick my toes.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just such a, I thought we were past that. Just throw up a pre-mint and give everybody a chance, call it a day.
Are you talking about because of the scholarship?
Yeah, well, he's like, you have to like, how did you phrase it? You have to like show to them.
You have to tell them, like, you have to like, so like once you
can you click on the apply button?
And I've already applied, so it's not going to do anything for us. Because you have to connect your wallet and all that stuff, and it you basically go, there's a bunch of prompts and it's like, oh, like what are you interested in? And then they'll be like, oh, what are you doing in that? You know, it's just like a whole bunch of different things. So like, it's not as so much as like, do you have, 50,000 followers, you'll get on the list or anything like that? Or it's like, oh, are you, someone of noteworthiness? Like it's just kind of like.
Did you say you host a podcast called Exit Liquidity?
Yeah, absolutely. Are you kidding me? I pulled every card I could. You should do the same. Fuck it. Why not? Try it.
I totally would, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you kidding me? Again, if this gets to a third of what DeGods are at, I'm stoked. Like,
the sneak peek look cool.
Dude, I don't even know what to look. Oh, yeah.
On like the low.
Yeah, it does actually look pretty cool.
That looks cool. I prefer that over a DeGod, if I'm honest.
100%.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Let me go to their Twitter.
I mean, I don't know what this is. Like, I don't know what a Ute is.
I don't either.
You don't know the
very.
Utes, dude?
What am I missing? Explain. Tell me.
I don't know. I'm panicking.
I thought you had something there. Like, if it's based on that picture, I mean, it's very Bored Ape-esque, which a lot of Solana projects are, including OK Bears. But yeah, I mean, I guess you gotta try. I would buy and sign up for Solana stuff if I were able.
Only artwork they have. Huh.
I think.
Artwork looks fine. Artwork looks good enough to me. Like, again, I could care less about the art. I just want that price value. Like, that's what I'm in it for.
True.
You're not in it for the art?
I'm not in it for the art. I'm not in it for the community. I'm strictly in it to make money. I don't think anyone else is. I think that genuinely with this whole PvP thing that's happening in NFTs, I think everyone's done pretending. I don't think we have to anymore.
100%.
I'm okay with it.
I need to stop buying NFTs that I like. I don't ever go for like rarity if I'm buying Flora. I just go for one that I like in case I'm stuck with it. I need to stop doing that, because then you like your NFT and you're like, whoa.
You can't get sentimental with it.
Yeah, you can't.
You gotta remove those emotions.
Stop getting connected to NFTs. I did that with my Galactic Ape.
Yes.
I had a top 100 or whatever, and I like held it forever because we like made like a meme out of it, and then I sold it for like an ETH, which sucked.
Yeah,
Profit, but
I gotta say, one shout out to Galactic Apes, because like if there's one project that I wish could like have that rebound, and of course I didn't pick it for the 21 collection, but like sentimentally I would hope it is them. I've actually had the opportunity to get to know the guys that have kind of like taken it over.
Yeah, F word West.
Yeah. Dilly and Kyle. I know Dots has like kind of taken it under Augmented, but these are two like community members that like stepped up, and they're just incredible guys that have just continued like shepherding that project along. But Galactic Apes itself, right? Like, what an incredible time in NFTs. What an incredible mint. Like, I remember like staying up till 2-3 in the morning with Scott, like trying to mint these. I'd never been in a gas war before. I had no idea how I got my hands on 2 of them, or 4 of them. I think I minted. Like, no idea how that happened, and like I did, and that was like hook, line, and sinker. I'm like, I'm in on NFTs. They ran up to like a 3 ETH floor, almost at 3 ETH. Right after reveal. And it was one of those like really magical kind of things of like, once they revealed, they really took off too, right? Because they were just that good. Like, the art was awesome on them.
They were great.
A lot
of
of
fun. Some of the most fun.
People loved Wes until they didn't. And you know, that's a whole different story that we don't need to get into. But yeah, just like a really almost innocent time in NFTs, right? Like, this was a time before like when roadmap, when utility, when token, and just simpler times, you know. It's
a lot more
naive
fun
times.
Dirty Milk's like, I can see the gray hair starting to kick in, right? Like, it's starting to thin out a little bit there, and
yeah, dude, it's coming.
That's okay. I've already got mine. Don't you worry, man. All right, gentlemen. Anything else you want to touch on while I have you here?
Ooh, I don't know. Stay safe out there. Remember, use a hardware wallet when you need to. Use burners if you're degenning, especially now. I'm trying to think anything else.
Shout out to Ledger. Sponsor us if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Ledger.
Like
click the Ledger link in the description below. It helps us. It's an affiliate link.
It's just a link to the Alphamint Discord.
Yeah. Also, go check back on your favorite projects from last year. See how they're doing. See what's going on with the community. See if they're still building. Like, I do think we're gonna start seeing a lot of those established projects who had good runs last year come back, as long as they have a reason to. You know, so just go check back. Don't overspend on them. That's for sure. And yeah. I mean, at this point, it's hard to say. Things could definitely get lower, right? Like, we are not out of the woods yet. And if you're looking at that floor that's fallen from 1.5 ETH all the way down to 0.15 ETH, right? Like, there's no guarantee that it's going to just rebound from there. Like, it could go down to 0.1, could go lower. So like, it's liquidity that you're going to have to tie up for a little bit longer than just normal NFT flipping. But Dirty Milk's absolutely right. Go kick over some tires and see what's going on in those projects, right? It might be a great time to get back into them and say hi too, right? Like, that engagement kind of like compounds itself as well, right? Like, all of a sudden the activity starts to come back, and you know, people get excited that new faces are showing up, and it's good for the project. So I agree. Well said, Dirty Milk. I'm just going to say, make sure you go check out the exitliquidity.io newsletter. Drip Cult has been working his ass off to not only put together some links and stuff like that, but also building out more of like article opinion pieces as well, and doing some write-ups there as we continue to grow that element of it. So go check that out. I kind of hit the brakes on it a little bit this week, but I'm going to be recording some more short form content for like YouTube Shorts and TikTok this week. I actually had one that, like, how many views it got? I almost got like 1,200 views in like a couple hours, and then it just like fell off a cliff. I have no idea how that happened, but it's been fun learning how to do that. And yeah, just check out all the things that we're building here. I'll say it once, I'll say it again. If you don't mind, please hit that like and subscribe button on this video. It always goes a long way. It helps, and it's the easiest and cheapest way to show a little bit of support for what we're doing over here at Exit Liquidity and at Alphamint. We're gonna wrap this up right now.
We are going to be back on next Thursday. That is September 1st. My God, summer will be over by that point, and we're into Degen fall. Man, time flies. So, guys, I appreciate your time. I appreciate the time of anybody that tuned in and watched this. We love you, and we will catch you in the Alpha Mint Discord. Peace.
Later, fam.
Yeah, guys.
Bye.